Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Copper Dragons here, and I'm going to be playing some more KNACK 2. So let's hop right in and continue the game. But something that I've noticed is how everybody tries to act online anymore. They try to act like they're all perfect, like they're all
This is
goody-goody,
more like it.
all that garbage.
Definitely got
Yeah,
that
I
mad
doubt
scientist
that.
feel.
Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect.
Yeah,
Nobody's
and well
perfect.
defended,
We've
too.
all made mistakes at some point in our
Look
life,
up, Knack.
regardless of the
There's
severity
your weakness.
of said mistake. We've all made mistakes.
Looks like we found it.
Nobody's
Your
perfect or
secret
exempt from anything.
something.
Just because you say that you should be. Nobody's exempt from anything in life. Regardless of anything meaningless that comes up in your life, like race, religion, political views, status, gender, sexuality, whatever. You are not exempt from anything in life. You should be as punished as anyone else is in life. I don't care if you're Elon Musk or if you're Betsy Taylor from down at Taco Bell or whatever. I don't care at that point. You still aren't exempt from anything. Like,
Gotta get
it
through that
doesn't
energy
matter who
barrier.
you are not exempt. And the fact that people online anymore act like they are is quite pathetic and quite tells how they were raised in life. That's quite telling how they grew up in the household that they lived in for their entire lives. That's very telling about them as a person. Like, that's more or less saying, "Oh, I'm a pretentious snob, and I don't care about any of you people that I would, consider below me." Even though there's nothing, that changes any of that. You are not exempt. Like, literally, there's nothing that changes you from anything. I don't care who you are or how you were raised. You are not exempt from anything. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care about um, I don't care about what you have in your pants. I don't care about that. You are not exempt from anything. By my standards, anyways. You are not exempt. Heck, I don't even care if you go after men or women or neither. I don't care at that point. You are not exempt. And you shouldn't be exempt. And the fact that a lot of people are trying to exempt them for stupid crap, yeah, that's more telling about those people too. That they're also pretentious and snobbish. Like, I mean, come on. Nobody's exempt. I'm gonna turn off the mic real quick. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, you shouldn't be exempt from anything. I don't care. I don't care what you gotta say about that. You aren't exempt from anything. I don't care. If you do something wrong, own up to it. It's your mistake. Own up to it like an adult or like a developing person. You you are no not as much as exempt from anything as the rest of us. So own up to your mistake. You made it. Own up to it. Be an adult or a developing adult, anyways, depending on the context. Sure. Wait, what's stopping? Oh, class. Of course. Had to be glass. Oh, why would... Oh, wait. I forgot about that. I forgot about the hole. But something... Like, I don't see how people can excuse some obviously criminal behavior for something as a meaningless as a skin color, or, you know, something as meaningless as what they go for sexually or romantically, or something like that. You are literally, nothing there changes. You are just as much human as the rest of us. You shouldn't be exempt just because of something that meaningless. Okay, I'm gonna put that one there. And then this one here. And then this one here. Okay, now I should be able to get through. Okay, I'm gonna see if this is either a collectible or what. Okay, it's not a collectible or anything. But I'm gonna have to come back to it later because, well, I can't throw big with those lasers right there. You know, that close. Considering, well, if I do try and go through those lasers, it would harm me. I'm gonna turn off the mic. I don't see how people can try and, you know, justify something, you know, something obviously illegal happening because it's something as meaningless as a skin color or a race. Well, that's kind of productive right there, considering skin color is a race. But I mean, like, you know, something as meaningless as what you have in your pants, what gender you go for, you know, like what race you are, you know, something like that, something as meaningless, inevitably meaningless as that. Like, I am so sick and tired of that garbage. And the fact that, oh, political view that differs from mine, oh, automatically must be a bad person. Something that meaningless doesn't change who they are as a person. They could easily be the kindest, most gentlest soul imaginable, yet they could just as easily not be on the same political side as you or whatever. They could be the kindest and most gentle soul imaginable, yet they could have something differing from you that you personally don't agree with. Does that mean that they're a bad person just because you don't agree with them? I mean, come on, that's obviously not the case. I mean, sure, there's some things that, would make them a bad person if they don't agree with you on, like, Sneako's opinion on the movie Cuties, or Sneako's opinion on getting cucked, or something like that. That's something you should obviously not agree with. That is something obviously should not agree with. But if it's something like, a political side, or, sexuality, or gender, or something like that, that's something that doesn't mean anything in the long run.
I never get tired of watching him do that.
But the fact that people try and argue over it is so stupid, and mind-numbingly so to me.
I bet Urich's fingerprints are all over this place.
Let's see what we can find.
Like, just quit arguing about random bullcrap.
Urich cleaned out the place
That's
pretty good.
inevitably harmless in the long run.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say. If it's genuinely harming somebody, that's where I say you can argue about it and try and argue their claims about it. If it's genuinely harming somebody, but if it's inevitably harmless, that's where it shouldn't be argued.
I'm not surprised.
Or
Lucas,
or whatever.
Remember when I told you how Marius defeated the Goblin armies?
Like if it won't matter like in 10 years from now, it's inevitably gonna be harmless. It's not something to argue over.
A new plan. He designed a control center from which to coordinate and command his forces, as well as create
weapons so something that genuinely causes harm directly.
The largest of these weapons,
that's where I say you can argue about it.
In the final battle, Marius led the remnants of the human armies against the goblins. The Titans were mighty foes, and it seemed as if this would be the end for the humans. But in fact, Marius was creating a diversion. While he dueled against the Titans, his strike team infiltrated the control center. Marius's hand-picked warriors fought their way past formidable defenses into its very heart. At the height of the battle, mere moments before the last of the human army was to be slaughtered, the strike team disabled the control center, and the ancient weapons froze, never to move again. Without the Titans, the High Goblins were quickly defeated. This time, our founder knew there could be no mercy. Those few goblins that survived were cast into the wilderness, and Marius took his place in history as the greatest of leaders.
Wow. Do you think someone found the control center and is reactivating the robots from there?
Maybe.
Honestly, that's the most intelligent thing I've ever seen Lucas say ever.
Well, we've run out of clues here. What now?
Someone definitely had to find the control center in some way.
Yeah, the museum. We delivered all of the doctor's
It's the most intelligent, dumb thing I've ever seen Lucas say.
Alexander. He says the goblins have just attacked a human city.
Athenium by any chance?
I mean, come on. Someone obviously had to find the control panels.
Either way, we should go.
There's the city.
But honestly, it seems like Lucas in this game, he keeps thinking with his 2-inch sausage link.
This is not good.
That's honestly what it seems like he's doing the entire game.
Whoa. The monks are getting ready for battle.
And that's easily making him more hateable to me.
Friends, so glad for your help. Ava, I wish you had told me you were going with our new friends.
I wish you had told me you were sending my brothers to battle. Our way is to seek peace.
I am quite aware of the way of the monk. Ava, you are a good leader, but you are young.
It feels very weird considering that guy just put his hand on her like that. It feels very weird considering she was stated to be underage.
Isn't there a better way?
You will find that there is not.
So
Xander,
that feels very
we have to get to the museum to find out more information, but the city is crawling with goblins.
like a lot older than
Find the
her.
museum a bit north of here.
At most,
Garrett
she's
Hale created a
18
version
at
to keep
max.
the goblins away from them.
Thank you, Xander.
Considering
Come on,
they
Knack.
said she was a teen, close to Lucas's age,
If you feel you need to go with them, then go.
and he's easily in his 40s or 50s.
And Ava,
Yeah,
careful.
that feels very off whenever you
I'll
look at
return
it
as
like
soon as I
that.
can.
Considering he's put his hands on her, you know, in a way that, you know,
Looks like
would
we had the
could
same idea as the
easily
goblins.
be derived as, you know,
Why are
a
they
sexual
interfering
or
anyway?
romantic manner. Yeah, there's no way that. Yeah, that just. Dude, this
My
game
brothers are
is
clearing a path
is
for
a
us.
serious downgrade from the first. It is a serious downgrade. It took away the uniqueness of the graphics from the first. The like sure, the first game had its racial politics, but it wasn't a major part of the game like it was here. You know? Like it wasn't as major of a topic in the first game as it was here. Like you can have racial politics in a movie and in any source of media like this, but whenever you take it, like if you take it so far to where it's the only plot points in the game, that's where I draw the line. How am I supposed to beat this guy? There we go. Jesus Christ. Oh, jeez, those I can tell those enemies are going to
Goblins
be
can use guns now?
highly annoying. The ones with the swords, anyways. Considering you can't even get near them without them trying to hit you and knock you back. You can't even get close to them. I can tell those pieces of crap are going to be extremely annoying. Like, I can tell that from a mile away. Jesus Christ. I hate those goblins with the blue swords. I hate them. I can tell that easily. Not, you know, not for the sake of them being goblins, but because they're so annoying to deal with. You know, like they're very, very annoying to deal with. Just a short time I've seen them on screen and had to fight them. You know, like they're very annoying very quickly. Okay, I'm not doing collectibles because that just pauses the recording and I do not want to handle that. Okay, I'm gonna deal with these robots. Okay, I'm going left. Considering that seems like the more intelligent way to go. Okay, at least I got some experience. I know it wasn't the right way to go, but, you know, experience helps. In any game, for that matter, where there's an experience meter. You know, especially with a skill tree. You know, like, I may dislike skill trees as a concept, but if they're enforced, what else am I supposed to do if they're enforced? What else am I supposed to do at that point? No. Okay. Okay, at least I build up my sunstone charge with that. And at least I'm growing a little taller with those red crates. So at least that's very helpful. Oh wait, those aren't robots, they're goblins? What? Okay, I'll call that one a draw, even though I still lived afterwards. I'll still call it a draw.
Where did the goblins get all those weapons from?
Okay, I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna use that charge attack. I'm gonna use a charge attack on these goblins. Because, well, what else am I supposed to
It's
do?
the clock tower.
I believe the
I'm
museum
gonna back
is
them
a
into
little
a
bit
wall if
further
there
on.
is any nearby. Then
That's
I'm
how I
gonna
remember it.
use a charge
I was
attack.
hoping we'd find a clue
You know,
of
that
some sort
one
there.
where I extend out my arm, not the multi-hit one. That's the only one I can think of using against them, considering it does a large amount of damage in one attack, in one quick attack, and also it has extended range.
Nice move. Think you could teach me that one?
Of course.
Am I seriously getting most of my new moves from her? Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it seems counterproductive to have the skill tree at that point. If I'm literally learning all my skills from her, you know? That just seems counterproductive to having a skill tree. Like, it just seems counterproductive to have one at that point. With that kind of concept, you know? Like, it seems very counterproductive for both sides.
Your new move extends your reach. Use it to open that gate.
Like, it's very counterproductive to have one with the other. Like, why not have the other moves available to you from the skill tree, but yet have more skills unlocked to you through her? You know? Very counterproductive otherwise, having them both at the same time. Like, I would get it if the skill tree was only used for something like, you know, stat boosts, like attack speed, defense, stuff like that. But having it, you know, be to where, like, you would use it for moves as well, that's very counterproductive. Like, that, I don't care what you gotta say, that is very counterproductive for a gameplay choice. I don't care. That is counterproductive 101. Having one, that is counterproductive gameplay choice 101. Having one thing in a movie and then having something with the same functionality later on. That is counterproductivity 101. something with the same exact kind of function for
Is
two
that
different
fun to do?
things.
Sure looks like it.
Like at first, whenever I first played this game, I ignored all that stuff because I was very young. Like I was only like what, 14 when this game first came out, and I was still relatively new to gaming as a concept at that time. Like sure, I still was playing games for many years at that point, but I was, still pretty young. Like, I was still pretty young and new to those kinds of concepts.
We're lost.
Heck, I wasn't even in high school until later that year, I'm pretty sure. I wasn't even in high school until I was like late 14, early 15. So I'm pretty sure I was still in middle school whenever this game came out. So don't try and pull that on me. Like, sure, I do have a birthday late into the year, but still that doesn't change anything at that point. At least I'm learning. So that's at least something. At least I'm a self-entitled little scumbag that can't even learn bolts from something that could be completely coincidental or accidental. At least I ain't a scumbag who does that. At least I actually know when to admit I'm at fault. At least that's something. And the fact that there's so many people that don't even have that same kind of mentality where they can't even admit that they're at fault for whenever they clearly are, yeah, that's really pathetic. That is really pathetic at that point, that there are that many people completely ignore the fact that they're obviously at fault for something. Like that is really pathetic.
I don't understand what they want with
Especially
our
whenever you consider there's people all the time asking others to admit fault. Yeah. Like,
Sorry.
people don't even want to admit
I've
fault
gotten
anymore.
completely turned around
And-
here.
Climb to the top
And yet
of the
they
clock
still
tower,
choose to
and you'll
ask
see the
questions
museum.
like that. Counterproductive questions like that.
Well, let's find a way in.
Like, just admit you're at fault without, bringing down others with you. Just admit you're at fault sometimes whenever you're clearly at fault. Doesn't matter if it's partial or full fault on you. You are still having a way of being at fault. It doesn't matter how much fault you have. You are still at fault. And it's sad that people can't admit that anymore. Like, if you screwed up, admit to it. Be an adult. Admit you're at fault. Just don't ignore it like a freaking child about it. Just acknowledge that you're at fault sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Be an adult about it. And it's sad that a 19-year-old, a 19, almost 20-year-old has to be the one to say that. To tell people to be an adult. It's sad that I'm the one that needs to say something like that. That's just sad at that.
We found the elevators, but the power's off. When you get to
Like,
the
I
top,
barely even lived life, and yet I know that far better than, most people do anymore. I know and understand that far better than what most people would these days. And that's pathetic. I barely even been in life that long, and yet I understand that those kinds of concepts far better than like a large majority of people anymore. And that is very pathetic. That just says more about you than what it does me at that point. If you can't admit at fault, you lose all rights to acting like an adult, to claiming that you're an adult. Or you have a... Well, let me rephrase that to be a better phrasing. To say you have an adult mindset. Instead of, losing rights to being an adult. You lose rights to calling yourself, to saying you have a mature mindset. You lose rights to that at that point. Not to being an adult, because, well, that would result in some very messed up things happening. If, if that were the case. Jesus Christ, why do I keep falling to my death in this game? So it looks like I can't destroy those blocks. Hey, I just got a trophy. I don't know what for, and I don't know why. But hey, at least a trophy's a trophy either way. Well, that was one of the dumbest falls I ever had in gaming as a whole. I always hated moving platforms. Like, sure, they can be good for parkour elements, but I just personally don't like them whenever they don't fit the game or narrative. What am I supposed to do there? I can't jump whenever it's moving either way. Whenever either thing is moving, the platform or that one spinny thing. And yes, I'm going to call it a spinny thing because I do not know what they're actually called. So don't say I'm wrong, because you can tell me what it is, but don't just hate on me because I don't know what it's called. Like, that is completely not on me at that point. I do not know what it's called, so it's not on me. Wow. A quick time event for pulling a lever. Nice gameplay design.
Thanks, KNACK. We hunted down some parts for you while we were waiting.
Why couldn't you bring the rest of my parts, the rest of my relics to me, instead of just bringing some of them? That's kinda, useless to me, bringing that small of an amount with this many enemies
I
near.
hope the museum hasn't taken too much damage.
When KNACK and I were there, I heard them talking about upgrading their security.
Honestly, I'm gonna use the Super Crystal more often. It just seems, more useful, considering, well, if I don't use it, I'll likely die over and over and over and over, and who would want to see that, Like, I know I wouldn't want to see somebody just replaying the same segments of a game over and over and over and over, with no breaks in between. Like, I know I wouldn't want to do that. which is why I've been trying to avoid it more and more and more. Because I know how annoying that is. Okay, let's take out this big goblin.
Guys, you should see this.
Lucas, this is a high goblin.
Right, like Yurik.
Yes, but no one has seen one for hundreds of years.
They sure are different from the ones we find skulking around the ruins.
Will you take a look at that? See where they're heading?
The museum.
Looks like we all had the same idea.
I say we go stop them.
I bet there's
No.
some kind of
Let's
ancient
get there
relic
first
for the
and see what
high
they're looking
goblins
for.
in
That's
the
sneaky.
museum, and that's why they're
I
going
like
there.
it. You go infiltrate the museum. I'll tell Xander that plans have changed.
I mean, come on,
Ava.
that's kind of obvious.
Be careful. What?
I can't believe
Honestly, the
high
only thing I
goblins are
like
still
about
alive.
the graphical
We need to
improvements
hurry.
this game
Let's
features
find a shortcut.
is, how KNACK was changed. Like, I'm sure the original design was good, but there was stuff that they could have easily improved on, But for the original character designs for the humans, their original designs were already good enough. There was nothing that they should have changed about it, There was nothing that they should have changed. They were already good enough. And it had that unique charm to the game. And the only thing I could have seen that would have actually made sense for the graphical changes was for KNACK. Because he was the only character in the first game that actually had improvements that could have been done to his model. The other characters, they were perfectly fine the way that they were. And yet they had to change it. I don't know why, though. That is easily my least favorite part that they changed from the first game to the second game. It's how they took away the uniqueness
And we're here.
of the human models.
Good. Looks like we made it here before them.
If we go through these doors, the alarm will tell the whole goblin army we're here.
Maybe the roof.
On it.
You see anything
Wow,
KNACK
I've already
uses
put a
a ledge?
lot of time into this
I think I
game.
see some vents up there.
Okay. Time to get back up there, I guess. Okay. I guess I'm gonna have to jump over there. And I guess I'm gonna have to put it more close to the middle for that. Darn it. Okay, time to continue. least I got the experience either way. So that's something. Okay, let's continue the game, I guess. So, I'm gonna also wait, how did the humans get up here? How did they get up here whenever I had to move all that just to even... They just clipped. Did you see that? They just clipped through the area. I saw that. They just appeared out of nowhere.
This wasn't here last time. Protected by Katrina security. Katrina?
Yes, it's true. My ex is in private security.
Well, if you're really missing her, you could date one of these robots. They look just like her.
Who makes a million robot clones of themselves? I mean, who does that?
Are you ever gonna tell us what happened between you two?
I could.
Honestly,
but I'm
he's right.
afraid it would trigger my flashbacks. It's exactly like her.
Honestly, Ryder's right there. Who makes
Yep.
like millions of robot
Looks exactly
clones
like
of
her.
themselves? Like, who does that without looking at least a little insane?
Brings back memories?
Like, who does that without wanting themselves to look at least somewhat insane? I mean, come on. That's obvious
Good idea.
that she was
Let's
planning
switch
to
the
look at
security
least
off
a
as we
little
go.
insane. So yeah, I don't blame Ryder there. He dodged the bullet of a lifetime.
Helping you boys break into a museum makes me feel like a bad influence.
And that's why you're my favorite uncle.
Why does Lucas keep calling Ryder his favorite uncle? Is it Ryder his only uncle? That seems counterproductive at that point. I mean, I get it. By default, he would be his favorite. By default. But still, that seems very counterproductive, if you ask me. Like, it's very counterproductive to do something like that whenever you only have to call something your favorite whenever you have only, whenever you only have one of those things. Like, I get it if it's something like food, but I'm talking about specifically people here. Like, preferably familial ties. You can't call somebody your favorite whenever you only have one of them. Unless if it's something like, a friend. Then you can call that person your best friend, if that's your only friend at that point. But I'm specifically talking about familial ties. If you only have one of those kinds of people in your life, you can't just... Like, it would just be counterproductive to call them your favorite at that point. It would just be counterproductive, considering they would, by default, be your favorite. Considering they're the only ones... Considering that they're the only one you have.
Hey, KNACK!
That would be extremely counterproductive. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my mic real quick. I'm back. Well, like, I honestly hate the concept of choosing favorites. Like, especially whenever it comes to, family. Honestly hate that kind of concept. Like, it's basically like choosing, oh, which one is your favorite kid?
Doctor's old plane.
That's basically the same exact kind of concept, regardless of which family member you're talking about. That is literally the same kind of concept. Like, and we all know why choosing a favorite child is a problem. We all know that. Because it's very obvious why that's a problem. Because, it can cause emotional trauma onto that kid. That's why that's a problem. Choosing a favorite child.
So, how much do you think one of those security robots would cost, anyway?
You're really thinking about getting one? No.
Okay, I am so disgusted at that. I am so disgusted by that. That he just said that. Ugh, I feel so icky hearing that. And I wasn't even the one who said it. I wasn't even the one who said it, and I feel icky hearing it. Like, come on, there could have been so many other options. There are so many other things you could have said there instead. Especially whenever you consider she ain't the only one on Earth. She ain't the only woman on Earth. So there could have easily been multiple other options. Just don't ask me the specific total, because, well, I'm not with that kind of stuff. I ain't the one to ask about how many options. Like, I ain't the kind of person to ask something like that, considering stuff that I choose to keep personal for a reason. It's nothing bad, but I'm just choosing to keep it private for a reason. Out of respect for privacy. Like, it ain't anything bad necessarily. It's just a matter of circumstances. Like, it's just a matter of circumstances at that point. And also, a lot of bad things that ended up happening to me because of that stuff. So I'm just gonna keep that kind of stuff private, for now anyways. And also, I'm not gonna be the best person to ask for options, considering, I've never been somebody's option before for that kind of stuff. I've never been considered somebody's option.
Nice.
Glad we didn't bring Doc's things here for nothing.
Here's the story of your creation. After years of study, Dr. Vargas was able to solve the mystery of the relics and produce a living, thinking creature. It's just so amazing.
I'm pretty happy with the outcome myself.
So,
how can he read that? That is just shapes. That is just shapes.
Doctor's assistant?
How can he read that?
It?
You were a good assistant.
Would it have killed them to mention my name? Without me, the doctor would never have known.
Do you hear that?
Goblins.
What does it care? What does it matter that he didn't bring up your name? none of the human characters did anything throughout the entire 2 games so far. None of the human characters did anything besides, you know, Victor and that one lady that Ryder was with. They're the only 2 human characters that even did anything throughout the entirety of the 2 games. And that's only because they were the villains of the first game. Like, they were the main reason why the world almost ended. That's why I only bring up their names here. Like, they were the sole reasons the world almost ended in this universe. That's the only reason I'm bringing up their names. Because without them, you know, none of them events of the first game would have happened. You know, it would have just focused on the goblins as the villains. That was it. But yeah, I think that would have been lackluster if they only had goblins as the villains of the first game. You know, like how they do in this game. I get that there's the robots, but it's still pretty lackluster either way.
Relic ruins. That takes me back to my last adventures with KNACK.
The doctor would certainly get a kick out of this stuff.
Well, at least I chose the right option for the order to put them in. At least that's something. For those
I noticed the goblins had a
things.
leader of sorts.
Yeah, a tough-looking guy. Could be the mastermind for whatever they're doing.
Like he's the one waking up all the ancient weapons? I guess.
Wait, I think I gotta put one of them back here. Wait, never mind. I'm gonna try and get up here if I can. Nope, can't. I wonder what I'm supposed to do. There has to be something I can do here. I just don't see what. Wait. I think I know what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm supposed to bring this over here, and then this over here. Wait, at least I actually have a hint now. That's something anyways. I feel so bad that I had you a hint. I feel so dirty for having you a hint. I feel so dirty in myself for that. But it was for the greater good. Wait, here in a little bit, I'm gonna have to end the video, because I'm running out of time. I only just now realized because it just popped up that thing on top of the screen that I'm running out of time. Okay. well, I guess I'm gonna end today's
What do you
video
think the
here.
goblins are searching
Be
for?
sure to like and
Something
subscribe.
here,
I'll see you in the
obviously,
next video.
but what? Crystals?
Bye-bye.
Guardians?